To start development, always we need the package management. The package management comes with Node.js application. So to install it, just place in Google Node.js and go to download, and you will see the download for all operating systems. For example, I have here for Windows and also I have for macOS. There are two types like LTS, which is recommended for most users, and the current, which is the latest features. It's better to get always the stable version, which is recommended for most users. Here you can choose your installation based on your operating system, and it will be simply an application like any application you can install. So after that, you can download this application and run it, and it will be like any normal application installation. So to be sure, after that you finish all of these steps, you need to run some npm commands. So to run npm commands, we can use Visual Studio Code. After opening the Visual Studio Code, you will see here the latest projects you have. But for example, we need to open the terminal of Visual Studio Code. So I will go here and say Ctrl and J, and then I will have the terminal opened. And in terminal, we can, for example, place a command on Node.js. So we can say, for example, npm version, and we would get the full detailed version about the installed Node.js. After that, we will be able to use Node.js package management, where there are many libraries we can use in our application and developments.
Now the first thing we will do is to install our Xcode CLI so we can start the project. So for that we just open the terminal and we will create a folder on any desired location for you. So we can have our course folder, so we say MERN course, then we will navigate to it, so to our MERN course. And now we will install the Xcode globally. We don't need to do it inside of the folder, but just to have our folder prepared. And for that we will do npm install -g Xcode CLI. And let the installation run, and I'll come back after it's finished. Okay, now that Xcode installed, we will initiate our project. So as you can see at the time of this video, this is the version of Xcode available. Now I clear the terminal and we will start our project, and for that we'll just say Xcode init, and because we are using npm and not yarn, because Xcode will use yarn by default, we have to pass the npm flag. Okay, so we'll just say Xcode init --npm, and we will name our app Easy Shop. So it will be an e-commerce application. We'll open, and now we have several different options. We have the blank canvas with vanilla JavaScript. We have the same but with TypeScript configuration. We'll also can start the application with some tabs, so example with tabs with TypeScript, or there's some templates, but in our case we'll use just a blank with vanilla JavaScript. Okay, just press it. Now we'll run through the installation, and I'll come back once it's finished. Okay, now that our project is generated, we will go inside of our project. So cd Easy Shop, open, and to start the Xcode we just do npm start. So we will open our window in our preferred browser that we can start our application in some devices. We will now start it in web, just to give an example, and here we have it. Now we will see how can we install Xcode for Mac users and Android for Mac or Windows users, and how to run our simulators with Xcode.
The next step is to install Android Studio. We will need Android Studio to run the simulator to simulate the Android cell phone in this case. And Android Studio is available for Windows machines and also for macOS. So depending on your machine, you can just come to this website, with Android Studio website, and click download and install the package that comes with it. After this, we will see how to run the simulator in this case. Now that Android Studio is installed, we can open it and we will be greeted with this window here. First, we come here to configure. We just go to SDK manager to install the type of Android we want. As we can see, I have Android 10 already installed, so you can choose the desired one here. It's up to you. Also, SDK tools, it should be installed when you install the Android Studio, so that's fine. And now to run the simulator, we can come here again to the greeting window and go to the Android Studio virtual machine manager. So this window here, we can just say create virtual device, and I can choose, you can choose any device you like. I will choose Pixel 2. Next, I will run the Android Pie, which is Android 9. It will install automatically if you don't have the CDK. So just say next. You can name your virtual device if you want. It's fine. I will leave it like this. We'll run it in portrait mode and finish. Now we already have our virtual device here, so we just say play. Then it will launch our emulator. As you can see, is our Android device starting right here with a normal Android system running here, so it needs to boot. And afterwards, as you can see, it's a normal Android device. We can just go through all the applications inside. And inside of this device, we will run our Expo bundle. So we'll run our React Native application here so we can test it. And now to run our React Native app inside of our Android emulator, we can go to our Expo developer tools. And we have these options here. We can just run Android. As you can see, we have it open here. And we say here that is installing Expo on this device. So this will be installing in Expo in the background. After that, you can see it's already building our JavaScript bundle. And after some time, it will open our application. The first time always takes a while to build, but then it will be faster. So next we can start building our React Native application. And now to run the iOS simulator with Expo, first we need to install Xcode. Xcode is the developer environment that can emulate iPhone in this case, or the iOS running device. So for that we can come to the App Store and search for Xcode. And we install this one with a little hammer in it, and that's it. After the installation is done, we can come to our builder, so our Expo developer tools, and we just need to run iOS simulator, and it will boot and open the device automatically. And as you can see, it opens our emulators. So I'm emulating the iPhone 11 Pro and it's running here. You can also change devices, so just go to device, to file, file, open device, and you can choose through a variety of devices that run iOS, through iPads, Apple TVs, Apple Watches. We can just come here and choose iPhone 8 Plus. If it runs for the first time, it will ask you to open with Expo. You just press OK and it will open with Expo. And that's it to run the iOS simulator with Expo. And so next we can start building our app.
In this course I will be using Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is an IDE, a text editor, so we can edit our code. It's my favorite, so I will be using it. To download Visual Studio, if you already don't have it, you just navigate to the Visual Studio Code website, so you can Google Visual Studio Code, and then it will take you to this page, and you just choose the download you want for each machine. So you will have macOS, Windows or Linux, so it's available in these three platforms, and just click it and download it and install it. After you complete the installation, we will install some extensions, so we will open your Visual Studio Code and we'll just navigate to extensions, and then we will search for bracket pair colorizer, so it's already here. I'm using this version. So bracket pair colorizer allows us to match brackets for each block of code, so it will be easy to see our blocks of code, and just proceed to the installation. I already have installed it, so here it should appear installed. Another extension that I'll be using is the ES7 React Redux GraphQL and React Native snippets, so we can have the snippets for fast use. So again, install it. And finally I'll be using Prettier. So Prettier allows us then to format our code to make it more organized and clean. Okay, now that we have our IDE set up, we can proceed to the next lecture.
For our eShop, we need to have a database. And the database, we don't need to install any software. We will use MongoDB Atlas. MongoDB offering now an online database storage, which means that the database is already in the cloud. What we need to do, just to go to the URL which I attached with this lecture and create an account here and sign up, and then log into your account. After logging, you will see this screen that you need to create a project. So first of all, you need to create a project for our eShop. So you go here and say, I want a project, which is, for example, eShop, and I click next, and then creating the project. After that, the project requires a cluster. So we need to build a cluster where we offer our database. So here there are shared clusters, which is for free. You can use it and choose the closest server to your country. For example, I will use this one, the default one. And then after creating the cluster, we are ready to create our database. The database in MongoDB called collection. So you need to go to the collections and create a new one based on your need. We have already one which we created for the course in the project 0. Here there are collections and I created multiple databases. So your part is just to create an account and create cluster and create your own collection, which we will use in the course. We will see later how to make the connection between our backend code and the MongoDB in the cloud.